All right, Trainer Tip Thursday. Today we're going to talk about self-awareness as you work out. So when we work out, it's really easy to forget about the biomechanics that kind of go into it because we're focused on just doing the movement correctly and breathing, right? So we're going to use a squat for an example later, but so a squat, we're just thinking, okay, we got to go up and down, we got to breathe. That's really all we're thinking about. There is so much more that goes into exercising than that. Okay, it's really easy to let your body do the lazy things because when we work out, our body will learn the easier way to do it. It's going to find these little tiny tweaks that we may not even be aware of because it's like, oh, well, this is easier. This hurts less. I have to use less energy. All of those things go into body mechanics. So when we're doing exercises, we need to think from the bottom to the top. So we're starting with feet. We're going to, knees, hips, maybe chest, back, neck, head. All of those things we're going bottom to top in the kinetic chain. So there's a lot more to think about, Again, your squat, a lot more to think about than up and down. So when we do a squat, we want to make sure that our feet are hip width apart. Unless you have a hip or a knee issue, you should be hip width apart. You want to make sure that you're rotating your feet outward. So you're screwing your feet into the floor, right? That's going to cause an external rotation on your knees. So actually, I'm going to stand up and show you. So here's my feet. I'm going to screw them into the ground. So you can see my knees will externally rotate out. So they're going outward. Then from there, I need to make sure that I'm heel heavy as I sit back. So I'm going to sit back in my chair. I'm heel heavy. Maybe my toes come off the floor, but my knees are staying directly over, well, not directly over my ankles, but in line with my ankles. It's okay if they go a little bit over. Now, because I have longer legs and a shorter torso, my chest is a little bit lower in my squat, whereas those that have longer torsos and shorter legs, their squat may look more like this. If I want to get to full depth and also make sure that I'm good, my chest is going to be a little bit lower, and that's just on me and my body mechanics because I have literally this much torso, and the rest is arms and legs. So now what I'm thinking about is, again, so my toes, feet are under hips, I'm screwing my feet in, I'm heel heavy, I'm making sure I'm sitting back. Now as I sit back, I'm also making sure my core is engaged. My belly button's being in and up, I'm bringing my rib cage together because of that rib flare. And as I come back, you'll notice my back is nice and flat because I'm protecting that low back. I'm not letting it arch as I sit back. I'm protecting it. I'm making sure my chest is up to the best of my ability, but again, my chest up is going to look different than your chest up. I'm making sure that I'm not rounding my shoulders, they're back and down. I'm making sure that I have that little bit of cervical retraction, so I'm not like this when I'm doing my squat. It's in a nice neutral position. I'm making sure that I'm inhaling while I'm doing this, and I'm exhaling on the up. So there's a lot that goes into that. When we're doing even simple motions, such as a squat, when it comes to other exercises, we're going to be thinking about the same things. So you want to make sure that you're always thinking from toe to head, okay? And we're adjusting that way. And I know it's a lot to think about, and I know that it can be overwhelming, but that's why we need to take motion slow. It's not always about who can do it the fastest. If your reps are slower, we do things for 3 rounds for a reason. It takes the brain 3 times of doing something to understand the motion. So if we're doing things too fast, it's not going to get everything that it needs to, versus doing them slow. Slow and steady wins the race overall, okay? So it's also going to be about, am I feeling it in the right places? Or am I feeling it where I shouldn't be and need to adjust? So again, we're going to take your squat. You should be feeling a squat in your quads, okay? Squat is quads, especially if you're doing a feet under your hips squat, it's going to be your quads. If you are doing feet slightly wider, slightly turned out, you're going to be feeling it in your glutes, your quads, and your hamstrings. If we're doing a sumo squat, we're going to be feeling things in our hamstrings and in our glutes. If for some reason you're feeling it in your quads, we got to figure out why. Because you shouldn't be. If you're feeling things in your back when you shouldn't be. All of those things come into play when we are doing an exercise. So start to think about these things when you're doing some of the exercises in class, and you'll become more self-aware to the point where you will eventually not have to think about them as much. But for now, just make sure that you know and just take maybe 1 or 2 exercises in each class that you do. And maybe it's a squat, because we love squats here at Girl Fight. So maybe starting with your squat and just making sure you're really self-aware. And then after that, you can kind of let things go and see if your body will go back to its non-self-awareness and choose the lazier, easier route, or if you're choosing to be the more self-aware route. And that is on self-awareness as you work out.